We'll cut to the chase. Ben Simmons has had it pretty hard, and while we sympathize with the guy, it seems things won't be changing for him anytime soon. We hoped this would be a more promising season for him. However, Mark Stein made it super clear in his recent on Substack that the player's not being wooed by Dallas Mavericks, as we've been hearing. Let's find out what's all this about. First off, this was never even a thing. Well, the source is pretty credible, so we've no reason to doubt him. Yes, we know that Sean Deveney mentioned the player and the team in one sentence, but it was something that he said he had heard from an anonymous executive. And how much weight can that pull? Stein had a lot of say about the subject, and he didn't need any push to let us know that his league sources have told him that Dallas isn't anywhere near considering a struggling Simmons.
Smaller player on him, he's just going to make you pay all night.
Durant, give and go, Simmons, it's an air ball.
Who's currently with the Brooklyn Nets. So what's happening here, you ask? Well, we just got the scoop for you. As per the reporter, the Mavericks name is being thrown around to create some kind of a market for the poor basketball dealing with knee and back issues over the years. This was his season to make a comeback, and so far, it doesn't look like it'll happen. Jacques Vaughn, the head coach for the team, has put Ben on the bench. So even if he does return to the game, it looks like he'll be sitting it out. We don't think this is a good idea anyway, and when the article was published, it created noise on social media, but it all died down pretty soon. Remember how we said that Deveney had mentioned these two together? Well, it turns out there's no record of it except in the article on Heavy.com. Up next, we got a lot of loose ends. The article does mention that the executive is from the Western Conference, which, as we all know, has no association with the Dallas Mavericks. The quote says, "Dallas is a team to watch. Simmons would be an interesting fit next to Luka Doncic if the Nets were willing to take back Tim Hardaway and Davis Bertans." And we can't say this was a rumor because any random person on the internet can pass an opinion. It doesn't mean there's any truth, or the NBA teams would even consider it. That's not how stakes are created. The bottom line is Ben Simmons is struggling, and the world sees it. He is in a bad place both mentally and physically.
Now Irving sees a seam, drops it off, Simmons dishes.
Also, the suggestions in the alleged quote can only belong to someone who has zero clue about how this basketball player operates. What he does, what he's good at, and what his team needs are different things. While we're sure he's been going through a really difficult time, we can't help but think over the whole last season and then the training. Everyone was quite hopeful. Besides his health, his contract is another thing that'll make it hard for him to leave. It's a 3-year contract of $177 million. Him being in year 3, he'll be getting $35 million this year. Next season, he'll be owed around $38 million, and from 2024 to 25, he'll be getting $40 million. Following up, it's a hard pass. If the player were in better shape, we wouldn't have seen him being dropped to the floor by Luka.
Simmons switches on to Luka here after the screen by Powell. And then down goes Simmons, and to the basket goes Luka.
We have to say, there's no truth to this rumor at all. And with the game season starting, it'll be tough to weed out false takes. But this one was just plain insane. Of course, fans want to see the Mavericks win. The team is loved, no doubt about it. But it would be better to avoid articles like this because the only thing that these are good at is making us look like fools. We've put this one to rest. Make sure you guys too. Coming to it, it hasn't been the easiest career for Simmons. It hasn't been. This is a guy who could play. He had pure talent and was all set to join the NBA All-Stars.
Oh, what a pass! What a beautiful pass! Jokic.
At least, that's what it looked like in the beginning. But sometimes, things happen that change the course of our lives, and something similar happened to him. It was a normal game, which now looks like a huge deal for him. As a part of the Philadelphia 76ers, he passed up the opportunity of a point-blank dunk in the fourth quarter possession of the 2021 Eastern Conference Semifinals Game 7 against the Atlanta Hawks.
But that's when you know that the game is in your head. That's a dunk for Ben Simmons right there. You got it, and I know you got it to Thybulle.
His team lost that game and got eliminated. Later on, instead of having his back, Joel Embiid was quick to hint at the fact that it was Ben's decision that cost them the game, and didn't help matters when the Sixers coach was all over the headlines for hesitating to answer whether the player could be a part of a championship team. We all know what happened next. He never played for that team again. A defeat like that is tough on its own. Having to carry the disappointment disappointment of the entire team and the fans can be crippling. It wasn't until he had moved on from the team that he talked about the incident, explaining his side of the story, and his explanation made perfect sense. But what caught our attention was the fact that he was thinking mid-game. Not to mention, cognitive science can help us make sense of this. We love science, especially in human psychology. You know why we do what we do, how the mind works, and all of that. So we were saying that the game against the Hawks wasn't his first. He had probably made the same pass thousands of times before, but when you get into it, the problem becomes obvious. He was thinking, not doing. We all know these games are intense. There's no time to analyze a situation. Once you're on the court, it's all action, action, action. According to Dr. CN, choking on pressure and waiting to think can be an athlete's biggest mistake. We saw how it cost Simmons the game. The doctor's an award-winning cognitive scientist and the president of Barnard College. She's also authored Choke and How the Body Knows Its Mind. Also, to her credit, is a TED Talk video viewed 2.5 million times. So she knows what she's talking about. She says that when a player starts to perform poorly under pressure, they're trying to figure out a way to improve themselves. What this does is that it creates doubt in a person's mind, and they start to second-guess themselves. Doesn't this sound familiar? We think it's happened to all of us. According to her, this is how a random mistake can become permanent, because we're always looking to make the right choice. Let's look at how this is true in Ben's case. She said, for a high-level athlete, that second-guessing can disrupt your performance more. Why? Because games are usually instinctive. Under normal circumstances, Simmons wouldn't have looked back on this moment. He would have taken the shot and moved on, but the situation wasn't as easy. A career 60% free throw shooter at that point, he had a lot to lose. And then there was the fact that he was performing poorly. Shooting free throws with all eyes on you can quickly become problematic if you think about it too much. It's a ready, get, set, go scene and nothing more. And he had already been struggling, so it's easy to assume that he started passing up on shots that he could take. Man, all that doubt gets a person down. While he's never admitted it, the numbers tell a clear story. The second best player on a potential championship team took 0 shots in the season's final 4 games. That's just insane, isn't it? Gosh, we can't imagine what was going through his mind and how much the poor guy struggled mentally. By the end of the series, everyone had caught on to his reluctance, and we can't say this could have helped matters. A person already thinking about how he's performing doesn't need external judgment. Finally, we haven't given up on him yet. The way we see it, he's still an exceptional player. He just needs to trust his instincts again, and that can only happen when the Institute and his team stand by him. Getting him the help he needs and not minimizing his trauma might be the best way to ensure no one has to endure such a thing again. These guys bring us so much joy on their best days, we must stick with them on the bad ones. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Dallas Mavericks is a trade suitor for Ben Simmons? Or is this just a way to increase his market demand? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and press that bell icon for the latest information and news like this. See you in the next one.